Afternoon. A warm welcome to everyone. I, Mrs. Namrata Kaule Shinde, Erasmus Plus CS for All representative and Chief Coordinator of Technology, on behalf of Chikitsak Samuhaj, Sir Sitaram and Lady Shantabai, Patkar College of Arts and Science and Patkar-Varde College of Commerce and Economics, would like to welcome you all for the Erasmus Plus CS for All International Webinar, Research in IT, Navigating the Cybersecurity Landscape. First, I would like to give a brief introduction about our college. Our college established in 1964. The college has various aided and self-financed courses at undergraduate and postgraduate levels, along with diploma and certification courses. We are an empowered autonomous college affiliated to the University of Mumbai. We are proud to mention that our college has received several awards. We also got approval to start with PhD. Our college is an ISO 9001-2015 certified and DBT Star Scheme awardee. We are also an achiever of India's Educational Excellence Award 2018 from Bakshar Media, USA. In April 2020, as per Education World India College Ranking for 2020-2021, we hold 45th All India rank and 10th in the state of Maharashtra. Now, I would like to introduce Erasmus Plus CS for All, Cybersecurity for All project. The college has participated in European Commission funded project CS for All under Erasmus Plus program, enhancing our educational framework and cyber security standards. Erasmus Plus CS for All is an international capacity building project aims to enhance cyber security education by developing industry relevant curricula and practical training modules. Under Erasmus Plus CS for All, various modular and Moodle LMS lifelong learning courses, namely IT Fundamentals for Cybersecurity, Python for Cybersecurity, Security Analysis and Risk Management, and Real-Time Threat Detection and Management are successfully implemented by the college. CS for All empowers the students and educators with future-ready cybersecurity competencies. We at the Department of Information Technology and Computer Science conduct many workshops, seminars, conferences at university, state, national, international level for the students, teachers, industry professionals, and researchers. It is my privilege to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to the members of Erasmus Plus program and CS for All team. I respectfully acknowledge the gracious presence of our esteemed dignitaries, Mr. Rakesh Patil, Practice Lead, Data Security, TCS, Speaker for the Session 1, Mr. Samrudha Mhatre, an IT Compliance Associate at Mytheresa LuxExperience, Speaker for the Session 2, Shri Kishore Rangnekar, President Chikitsak Samuha, Dr. Gurunath Pandit, Secretary Chikitsak Samuha, Dr. Mala Kharkar, Chief Education Officer, and Professor Dr. Gautam Sonkamble, In Charge Principal. I also extend a cordial welcome to our distinguished faculty members, dear students, and all the viewers who are joining us live from across the globe. We shall now proceed with the event. Today's program comprises two sessions during which eminent experts from the field will share their insight on the topic of cybersecurity. To begin, I am pleased to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Rakesh Patil, Practice Lead Data Security, TCS. Mr. Rakesh Patil is a solution architect and lead for data security practice, cybersecurity at Tata Consultancy Services. He brings over 2 decades of industry experience in security consulting, solution architecture, platforms, and services. He leads the Data Protection Center of Excellence within TCS cybersecurity practice and plays an important role in developing industry specific data security solutions that help businesses protect their most valuable information. Before joining TCS, Mr. Patil contributed his expertise to renowned organizations such as Tech Mahindra, Aditya Birla IT Services, Atos, and Wipro. In today's session, Mr. Patil will provide valuable insights into quantum security. Sir, we are deeply honored to have you with us today. May I now request Mr. Rakesh Patil to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Namrata ma'am, for this warm introduction, and really thanks to Patkar College for giving me this opportunity to present today's session. What I'll do, I'll just share my screen to the presentation. Just acknowledge once it is visible, and then we can begin with. Is my screen visible?
Yes,
Hello?
sir, it is.
Yeah. Ma'am, can you please confirm if my screen is visible and
Yes,
I'm
sir, it
audible?
is visible. Yes, sir, it
Okay,
is visible and you are. Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks again, and good afternoon to all. As Namrata ma'am has already introduced, but I would like to really talk about the topic what we have chosen for today's discussion. So, like next probably 45-50 minutes, I will going to talk about post-quantum cryptography or PQC, popularly known as. The reason to choose this, I'm sure all of you must be using securely, say WhatsApp, UPI, banking transaction. It has become now part of everyday's life and not confined to any specific group of people, right? And why we extensively use that? Because it's a secure. Now, upon arrival of quantum computers, the whole security of all this ecosystem is now questionable, and that is something what we will going to talk about. And the reason to present this to you, definitely, as all of us are kind of an end user of this secure system. But having said this, considering your background and futuristic notion, probably you will be also joining to secure the ecosystem. So that is something what we will going to talk about. Before getting into ads, this is something which is more from the mathematics and physics domain. So few slides we have put together where we will going to talk about certain basic concepts, essentially what need to understand before we try to understand what exactly the problem statement we are talking about, what kind of solution, remediation, and roadmap, and in what ways and means all of us can contribute in this area. Definitely, I encourage, there is a Q&A window open in live stream. You can share your question, and after this session, we will try to address as many questions as possible. Having said this, I'm also active on LinkedIn, so you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn and we can uh, discuss this further. So we all are fortunate because the kind of decade we are living into, it's a decade of massive technology disruption, and two major areas. One is generative AI. I'm sure it doesn't need any introduction. All of us are in everyday's life using it extensively. And second area, which is equally important and coming up very rapidly, is a quantum computing. I'm sure you must have heard of. But just to level set what exactly I mean to say, I will spend few minutes on this just to explain what exactly this quantum computing and quantum computers are. Uh, at basic, we all know that our traditional computer work in a linear fashion on on the methods of bit and byte. Whereas when we talk about quantum computers, primarily they work on the quantum mechanics, right? And specifically, it is talking about superposition and entanglement. Now, what exactly it is? So, our classic computer, and when we say bit and byte, it's always like the combination of zeros and ones, right? Which gives us those um, values in order to we can process the data. Now, fundamentally, that is something which is challenged by quantum computers, and what it mentioned that there is a superposition which can exist between the zeros and ones, and how it is important. So, in a zeros and one, there is a possibility to store only two values, whereas superposition allow us to store multiple values, which gives us ability in order to store and process data at an exponential speed. Now, what exactly it is, maybe we'll briefly touch upon in a subsequent slide, and followed by the entanglement. That is yet another concept in quantum computing, which gives us a linkage between the multiple qubits, how they can correlate and process the data. Now, why it is required? Now, when we talk about generative AI or all those applications, uh, the backbone of everything is a massive processing, and that's where the quantum computers are applicable in order to address a targeted problem, maybe say integer factorization, unstructured search, complex molecular modeling in everyday's life, where we need massive computing. That's where quantum computers are inevitable. Definitely, they have a lot of constructive use cases, right? But having said this, as while they are giving certain constructive use cases, because of arrival, because now those quantum computers are also available for adversaries, which means they can also use it for attacks. So they have also given rise to cryptographic threat. Now both like the application and threat we will see in a while. And definitely it is not actually the replacement of classic computer, but they are meant for very specific complex calculation. So next era we'll see it's the quantum computers will and then classic computers will go hand in hand, where classic computer will going to fulfill everyday life requirement, whereas quantum computers will be used for a specific part, right? So briefly we will touch what exactly the difference and why they are different. Now all we know that all our classic computers, the fundamental unit is a bit, right? Bit and then byte, and then maybe you have started talking about uh, MBs and GBs and terabytes, right? So the fundamental unit of that is a zeros and one, or which is a bit, which gives us a capacity in order to uh, process certain amount of data, which is capacity of like 2 raised to 10. And that's where the fundamentally quantum computers are different, because now they are talking about superposition, unlike bits and bytes, which can exist in a zeros and one. Both position can exist simultaneously. So maybe earlier coin could be flipped on either side, but now it can keep rotating. You can imagine like the multiple possibilities it can give, right? And then it also allows us to process parallelism, which means we can have certain operation in much faster and parallel way, which along with the entanglement, which create the correlation between different qubit, which means when in a traditional computing, when I add bit, it gives linear progression. Whereas when in case of quantum computer, when I will going to add qubit, my processing power will it increase exponentially. So that's a fundamental difference. Just to highlight the classic computer, quantum computer, bit and qubit. As it is evolving. A lot of engineering efforts are happening around it. There are certain challenges still persist in quantum computer. One is a decoherence, which means all these quantum computers are susceptible for noise, heat, vibrations of external physical aspect, and that's why there's a probability that certain challenges arise while we process it. That is one of the engineering challenge scientists are working on while they are progressing on this. So that's kind of the current state of quantum computers into the industry. Now, quantum computer, is it still concept or they are in reality? Definitely, they are reality. All global leaders are extensively investing, tirelessly working in this specific area. Quantum computers are already available. Now, they are not like our classic computers like laptop and desktop. They are like massive, massive systems which are built. Some of the popular organization, what they have built quantum computers are say D-Wave. They have built quantum computers with capacity of 4,400 qubits. Likewise, Atom, IBM is one of the leader. They are tirelessly working on both quantum computer and post-quantum cryptography. But that will keep aside for a moment. Fujitsu, Quera. So they have already built quantum computers, right? Apart from that, for you and me, can we work with quantum computer? Yes, answer is yes. Why not? A lot of hyperscaler. So when I say hyperscaler, it's Azure or AWS. They already provide general purpose quantum computers, though it is with a small value. Maybe you can say 5 qubits, 6 qubits. But actually, if you have your cloud subscription, you can log in and check. They are already available. You can experience it. So the current capacity is low for general purpose. But point here is, yes, quantum computers are real. They are already available around us, and they are rapidly growing in terms of the capacity. Now, why do we need quantum computer? Briefly, we talk about, but you look at some of the problem which need massive processing. One is the optimization problem, especially supply chain, the global logistic hubs, ships and cargoes, very complex situation when they take a route or you have to schedule there because a lot of data points across globes are coming up and you really need very rapid processing. So for that, financial modeling, trades, and all those which really need the massive power. AI and machine learning, a no-brainer. All of us are like now all the information which earlier we used to take some time in order to search and correlate. Now all that correlation is happening, and we are getting all those information in form of generative AI at our fingertips. Right, some nicely crafted prompt, and then you get output. But behind the scene, it need massive computing. One is definitely that the chipsets are working, but the finite answer is quantum computers. And if you search around, you will hear one term which is thanks to Gartner, which is a global analyst body, is a QAI, quantum AI, right? Which means AI which is empowered by quantum computers. Drug discovery and science, as you know, like all this complex molecule modeling, which really need a massive computing power. And that's one of the major hurdle in today's world in order to create those kind of simulation as they do different permutation combination before actually we consume those medicines, right? And that's where it will be applicable. And definitely overall quantum physics in order to simulate quantum fields, particles, and all the research and innovation which is happening. Bottom line, wherever we need massive computing at exponential scale, those are the application areas for quantum computers, right? So that's about quantum computer. Then from security standpoint, why we are concerned, right? It's beautiful. All the cases, definitely, all of us, we want speed. But there is a flip side, right? Though the quantum computers will be available for us, likewise, they will be also available for adversaries. Adversaries, which means the user with bad intention, right? As we are using for the constructive causes, they will going to use it for the cyber attacks. And that's where the whole problem starts, and maybe the opportunities for cybersecurity into it. And that is something what we will highlight today. Now, as quantum computers are growing, at this point in time, they are not powerful enough to break the current cryptography. And where exactly cryptography we are using, it's everywhere, right from my WhatsApp, my banking transaction, my UPI transaction. It's already deeply engraved into every single secure digital channel. Having said this, the pace at which industry is growing in this area, industry is expecting to have crypto relevant quantum computers, which are quantum computer capable to break the cryptography by year 2030. That's a optimistic view, and by year 2035. So these are the two different ranges which are come, because it's again the science. And between these two range, it is expecting in order to get those crypto relevant quantum computer. And that is something which is major concern for entire digital industry, which is using cryptography as a backbone for security. And it is everywhere. And that is something what we will talk about again in the next few slides. But before that, there are a few concepts which are important to understand. Like when we say it will going to attack, what exactly those attack, right? That is something quickly we will touch upon. Majority of you are already know, right? Cryptography. It is again the cryptology concept which we use in order to protect the data, so that data cannot be accessed without appropriate authentication. And there are two broad stream in a cryptography domain. We'll quickly touch upon, so that those uh, who already aware can refresh this. But the symmetric cryptography, that name itself indicate that it's the same key we are using in order to encrypt, which means convert data into such a format which cannot be usable, even though somebody get an access to that data. But it is completely scrambled data, right? To encrypt the data and decrypt. Decrypt means retrieve in an original format where we can use for the purpose we are intended to do it, right? So the concept in a symmetric cryptography is the same key which we are using for encryption as well as for decryption, right? Where you can see. And which are those popular algorithms which industry is using, like AES, triple DS? Those are kind of algorithm there. Where exactly it is getting used? Almost it is getting used in all the systems. It is used for your file encryption. So like your laptops nowadays, some of you have heard of like say BitLocker or any other. Like those are encrypted. If somebody stole your laptop and if they do not have credential, then that hard disk is almost useless, right? So file encryption, database encryption. Imagine all banking system, they store our transaction information in the databases. Those are encrypted using symmetric cryptography. And bulk data transfer, when we do the batch processing, let's suppose Patkar College is sharing the data of all college students to University of Mumbai, and then we cannot exchange that in a plain format, right? Now it's because of digitization. Earlier we used to share those files in a trunks, but now because of digitization we are sharing over the line, or the wire, right? And then that's bulk encryption we use. So these are some of the cases. And then this is something which is questioned by Grover algorithm. And then he came up with an algorithm way back in 1996, that if I get a powerful quantum computer, then I can break it. So that's how mathematically he solved, or he had created problem way back in 1996, that symmetric cryptography will be broken. How exactly it is? Quick look. Now at this point in time, one of the popular one is say AES 128 with Grover's algorithm. So in a classic uh, computing way, there is a combination of 2 power 127 keys. And how the brute force attack work, as all of you know, brute force is a trial and error. Like we try multiple permutation and combination of those. And for any classic computer, in order to break this, it will take enormous time. Now, as I have got the quantum computer, uh, by which in a parallelism I can try multiple permutation combination. The time earlier it used to be time into the n, whatever n is my key length. Now it will cause the square root of n. So which means you can say that it is drastically reduced from like uh, n and probably 1,000 years, then square root of 1,000. So that many number of years, which means time has reduced because of quantum computer. So that's how that impact is created, and that is something Grover showcase. You can explore the enormous content. You will find how that mathematical formula works. Paucity of time will not able to cover those mathematical details, but something interesting. I'm sure most of you are already having mathematics as one of the subject, and out of interest, you can go and read this. Very interesting to check this mathematical formula already available in public domain. So that's on the symmetric cryptography. Now, what is its impact? Earlier, whatever it used to be secure, because for symmetric, it's a same key, which means you actually need to guess the same key, which earlier you used to carry 2 power 127, which has drastically come down because of quantum computer, because of square root of that, which means the same algorithm, which was one of the part of my security pillar, has become vulnerable upon arrival of quantum computer, right? And then increasing key will going to solve the problem? Not really, because again, it will exponentially bring it down at the square root, right? So even by increasing simple key, and increasing keys will not always going to solve the problem, because your increasing key length will create a lot of other performance related issues. So that's where we need to have kind of the revised approach for that. Okay, that's on the symmetric cryptography. We'll quickly move to the next one with the asymmetric cryptography, and that is one of the biggest threat for um, uh, quantum computers for all our digital system. Asymmetric cryptography, brief. There's a different key for encryption and different key for decryption, right? And RSA, which is like Reverse Shamer Altman, they are founder of that, which considered as one of the backbone of our today's security system. Like you go to any bank and then you will say that HTTPS, the S indicate that security channel, and then there are certificates available in order to exchange all the information. You go to any, the moment that portal is sensitive, we are exchanging information, you will see that portal is always on HTTPS, which means the certificates we need to configure in order to exchange that information. So asymmetric cryptography, definitely that is something which as an end user outside in view, we are extensively working. So the backbone of asymmetric cryptography, it is a especially of the RSA, it's a product of two very large uh, rational numbers. Right? That is something the mathematics behind it. Again, it's another interesting concept to browse through. And way back in 1994, Shor came up with an algorithm which proved that if again get computer with certain capacity power, then the asymmetric cryptography algorithm can be broken, and that's biggest
Okay, participants, we are facing a slight bit of technical glitch, so just bear with us for 2 minutes. We'll be resuming back.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think some network disruption while we are talking
Yeah.
about quantum computer.
And
Still,
sir, can you please share your screen as well? So,
yeah. Can you share my screen as well?
yes, it's visible now. Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks again. I mean, as we are talking about quantum computers, still we are dealing with certain classic computing problems and network. Apologize. Yeah, but yeah, that's where this shows algorithm, and that is something again very much available. And here you can look at the exponential speed it will gain in order to break your cryptographic keys, and that is one of the fundamental problem which has created because of quantum computers. So at one side we saw a lot of good constructive cases, but flip side from the security, as that is one of our primary of discussion, we saw that this is broken. And what it has proved that 100% of asymmetric crypto RSA are vulnerable to a polynomial time attack by Shor's algorithm. Even if we increase the size, it will not going to provide any long-term defense, because again, I mean, very next version of your quantum computers will be breaking it. Or in all, the industry realized that we need to take the pause, and we need to come up with such mechanism or such a technology which can withstand, which can defend, resilient to the quantum attacks. Okay, and now, though we see those timelines, right, like year 2030, year 2035, still 4 years to go or 7 years to go, still why we are talking about it now? That's an interesting question. There is a reason, because all this data, what we are talking about, there is an accountability that it should remain protected for long duration. And you can imagine student records, probably those, if university is storing those records, those need to be protected for lifelong. Or maybe my policy documents, insurance policy documents, or home loan documents, or banking transactions, they need to be remain protected for very long duration. And that's where the industry is grappling, because there is something known as a harvest now decrypt letter. Now what this specific attack is, data which is in wire at this point in time, it is encrypted by different mechanism. Somebody can intercept and get an access, because this data is over the wire. That is not technically challenging, right? So what those adversaries or attackers are doing, they are storing current data in encrypted format as it is, so that upon arrival of crypto relevant quantum computers, they can be broken, and they can get an access to the original data. So maybe if I'm an attacker, I can sniff the data which is in an encrypted format. Now I know that this data will going to have high value for very long duration. By year 2030, year 2035, once those crypto relevant quantum computers will be available, I will break that data using those quantum computers, and data will be available in a plain format. And that is what it has created an urgency with industry, that this is the time we need to quickly jump into this problem statement and then start working on this. And this is one of the area. HNDL is very popular name, and this is one of the popular concept, and this is one of the area which especially the sectors which are highly regulated, like say banks and defense and life science and healthcare, where data is really sensitive, which need to be protected, and protection of the data is non-negotiable. So they are already working on this. Right? So that is something what we will briefly talk about, how that data is getting protected. Now, it's interesting to understand a certain timeline. NIST, National Institute of Science and Technology, it's a United States federal agency under the Department of Commerce. This is one of the agency globally well recognized, accountable to uh, shared best practices, guidelines, certain cryptographic standards for globe. And so as we are in year 2026, but this is not something which has happened now. As the problem was created way back in 1994, 1996 by Showers and Grover's algorithm. Uh, Way back they started working, but real initiatives formally started in the year 2015, 2016, where they launch kind of a competition or initiative in order to come up with certain PQC compliant standardization and project. And tirelessly they are working since then. And then in between the range of 2017, 2019, they invited where various organization and even someone in individual capacity can submit their algorithms, where there was very stringent mechanism for the evaluation they followed. In year 2020, 2022, the few algorithms they had shortlisted, and then in year 2023, because one of the major challenges that this has to be solved more mathematical or conceptually now, because um, in reality the quantum computers are not available actually to go and check whether they can withstand. So the all validation is happening with series of mathematical testing or conceptual testing around it, right? And finally, the major breakthrough came in year 2024, where they finally published three algorithms, MLChem, MLDSA, SLHDSA, and then they named it as FIPS 203, FIPS 204, FIPS 205. And then that search is still on because, again, this is, again, the evolving. So the few more algorithms they added in year 2024, 2025 as a draft algorithm. And then they are under HQC, like for an example, they are under evaluation, right? So that's the journey. So as of now, we have algorithms. Those are proven and tested. When I say tested, mathematically tested, they can resilient, can withstand for the quantum attack, and those are something what we need to change or migrate. So that's from the security standard. Now, again, all the industries, what I talk about, whether it's a banking, financial, or life science, healthcare, they are highly regulated industry. They need to follow certain global norms. And that's where NIST published that all the current RSA, ECC, or DeFi-Hellman, they will be phased out by year 2030. And by year 2035, they will be completely disallowed, which means at one side, your security is the concern, but at other side, organization, those who need to fall in line for regulatory requirement, for them it is regulatory requirement as well. So that's where it's considered as one of the high critical time bound, which need really urgent attention to address this, right? And that's where NIST is proactively transitioning global cryptographic standard from current classical to the post quantum set. So NIST has taken big leap on that, right? Now, briefly, I'll touch upon all these algorithms. Just need to understand what exactly and then what they will be doing. So, the three primary algorithm and fourth one is in draft status. And again, you should always follow the NIST portal in order to get the latest snapshot, because this is something which, as we are following this industry very closely, every passing day you will see certain updates either on the quantum computing side or quantum cryptography side, as multiple things which are getting evolved. But quickly touch upon FIPS 203 MLChem, which is nothing but the key encapsulation mechanism. There are different foundation uh, control and basis for it, like it is on the basis of model learning with errors. General use case for that, wherever we are using the key exchange, and then they will be replacing ECDH, ECDF element, and then RSA. Second is MLDSA. Primarily, it will be using for your digital signatures. Where exactly digital signature? One example I already mentioned, like your certificates. Some of those you might have seen, or some of those who are getting a Form 16s, right? They are digitally signed with respective CS, right? You will see those digital signature. Again, its use will be in a general purpose digital signature. They will be replacing ECDSA and RSA. Again, the SLH DSA or Sphinx Plus, they are stateless hash based. They are high security, and they will be used for certain conservative signature application, like code signing and all that. The few more algorithm, the HQC, which is still in a draft state. Again, it is on the basis of key encapsulation mechanism. Primary reason, or this will act as a backup of your KMC. All these algorithms are constantly evolving. So there is nothing sacrosanct or finite. They are still going through continuous update and migration, right? Now, what is relevance for us? Let us quickly, as we briefly talk about technology, let us touch upon the area, the global, especially the Indian PQC guidelines and compliance. There are globally quite a lot, like your UCSC from UK, NIST, the Singapore and Canada government, they have already published. But like we will talk about more of India-centric regulation. RBI, because that is kind of apex bank, which provide mandates and guidelines for entire banking system. They have already published white paper on this through their Reserve Bank Innovation Hub, again available in public domain, which talked about your threat of quantum computer and current quantum current cryptographic system, and highlight PQC as one of the area. And they have also proposed phased approach, because now what we are fundamentally talking about is changing your digital system. Imagine like the current digital system, what you and me we see, it has evolved over a period of few decades. And now cryptography is deeply engraved into every single part, right? From you flash your card right in the morning, or you do biometric while entering into your labs, right? So it's almost everywhere, which cannot be changeable at one go, or there is no quick fix for this. It will be having its own journey, and that's where they have given certain guidelines, like how you can migrate yourself to the quantum safe state in a phased approach. The key expectation, what they meant, and is like you conduct your assessment where exactly you are using this cryptography, because as it's evolved over a period of time, nobody till date actually care of where exactly it is, as it's everywhere, it was omnipresent. And now, because of this, there's a need in order to discover where exactly this risk and quantify. Bring your system crypto agility. That is an interesting term which is coined. Now, what has happened? It is proven that the cryptography is a secure system, but it is not secure for infinity. This can be broken. Like tomorrow, they may come up with some uh, more powerful computers again, right? So now the recommendation is, while you use cryptography in your application, you detach your business logic from cryptography, so that if tomorrow you need to change the cryptography, you need not to boil the ocean. I mean, you can simply change that specific component, like the plug and play, so that your entire business logic will remain intact. That is all about crypto agility. That's where majority of the system will go through refactorization, right? And when any organization work, they don't build everything in-house. They use a lot of vendor product or OEM or COTS product or SaaS application, we say. So also get concurrence and buying from them, how they will going to change or upgrade their system. So for example, I'm organization, I'm using hyperscaler. From hyperscaler, when I say Azure or AWS, I'm using their services. So far their services are using classic cryptography. I need to understand like when they will be migrating to quantum computing, quantum cryptography, so that I'll be getting secure end product. Mighty and Certain, they are again national security agencies. They are also equally working. So RBI is primarily focused on the banking and financial sector, whereas Mighty and Certain, apart from the BFS side, they are also focused on the healthcare, defense, and all critical sector. Like I mean, right from your power plant to your all ports, your airports, everything you must have heard. Like the Falcon attack some time back, and majority of the airports were kind of seized for some time, right? So that comes under critical infra, because if something goes wrong in that, huge inconvenience and national security threat. So Mighty and Certain periodically publishing various guidelines in cybersecurity. The PKC they have already added into their charter, and then they have also issued certain advisory and guideline. But point here is the global agencies, national agencies are really acting very fast on this, coming up with different technologies, different mechanisms. CDAC is another one who is actively working in this area. DSCR, Data Security Council of India, they are actively working on this specific area. Different IITs, they have already roped in order to conduct research in this specific area. Right? So that is something which is happening in India. Globally, definitely. I mean, it is equally critical and at equal pace. Now, how to solve this, as it is not one-stop solution like to buy antivirus package and then solve this, right? It will get addressed at various different levels. It will get addressed in hardware, it will get addressed in your software and toolkit, it will get addressed in your network where two different components are interacting with each other. And while doing this, you will see this is one of the area, very good play area for startup, as this niche area. So along with the startups, you will see the established players in this area. They are working, contributing, and building certain products. So from hardware per se, NXP, some of you must have heard of. They are kind of your chips provider, right? So they will be providing security element in like microcontrols and processor platforms. Thales, again, it another global security organization. They provide your HSM, hardware security module. Their boxes, appliances, which we use as a backbone of encryption key management. So likewise, software and toolkits, they say PK Shield, IBM, InfoSec Global, QNA Labs, they are providing certain software solution so that your applications, whatever you are building. Nowadays, it has become more risky because all of us are extensively using generative AI to build all this application, and we have really very limited visibility what kind of security and cryptography is used internally, right? And that's where this key player help while we build our application, um, how those application can be quantum safe. And in network, where the networking component, your switches, routers, your firewalls, like how they can be PQC compliant, and that's where you will see player like say Palo Alto and Trust. PKI is a public key infrastructure. So example I just mentioned some time back. The moment you see HTTPS, very visible example for all of us. If you go to browser and on the left hand side, if you check the security, you will see the certificate. And those certificates are coming from the PKI, public key infrastructure, where they issued the certificate so that your communication tunnels or channels can be encrypted, right? So those are the focus areas. So it's a multi-dimensional problem, and that's where you will see multi-pronged approach in this. They are kind of the solution provider in this specific area. So apart from post-quantum cryptography, there are few more concept and technologies like say QKD and QRNG. Again, a lot of abbreviations I have used in this session because those are kind of a new term. QKD is talking about quantum key distribution. You might have heard of an example recently conducted in Delhi where they managed to transfer uh, the keys for 150-meter range. It is still in very nascent initial stage. A lot of advancement is happening, but what it is talking about, the encryption key, what you are using in order to protect the data, and if you want to exchange this, how over a QKD you can transfer it through the secure channel so that nobody can sniff or conduct kind of a guesstimate on that part. So that's where the QKD is applicable. Definitely very much secure from the concept standpoint, technologically it is evolving. It is not at commercial level at this point in time. Uh, some advanced experiment is happening. Second area is a QRNG, quantum random number generator, because all the keys what we are talking about, they are built using central random number. We call it as a pseudo random number because there is some amount of guess, and those can be reverse engineered. Whereas QRNG or quantum random number generation is talking about true random number generation, which you cannot guess and break. So these are kind of the supporting technology in this specific area, which you can think of, and they are playing an instrumental role apart from your post-quantum cryptography. So now, as multi-pronged approach, multiple challenges, your post-quantum cryptography that has taken leap now, because you need not to rely on the hardware. It is still at application level, at software level. You can address this problem by changing those newly identified or discovered algorithms with the existing algorithm, right? So that is something which has taken precedence on the QKD and QRNG, right? That's how it is happening in industry now. Quickly touch upon what exactly the challenge with industry and why it is a point to note, especially for now. One is in the BFSI segment, all your secure transaction. I briefly mentioned about transaction from end user context, but you imagine there is a lot of banking to banking transactions which are happening, right? So those transaction of all those data or security of all those transactions is on toss because of quantum computer. Like I say, data privacy, because banks also possess good amount of PII or privacy related information that is also vulnerable. Long-term confidentiality, you imagine like your banking loan, your term plan, insurance plan, which really need long-term protection of all those data. So those also at level of vulnerability. Manufacturing industry, especially, all of you must have heard of connecting car. You imagine like cars through their all IoT devices. They're very secured. I mean, if somebody break that security, somebody break the communication between two IoT devices, right? Which means I can break almost the entire system. I can crash the car. All right. So manufacturing industry, which is getting heavily automated because of one is industry 4.0 evolution, this generative AI, a lot of development advancement is happening. Almost we talk about smart car, smart home, smart city, right? When the moment we say smart, a lot of adoption of all these IoT devices, and all these IoT devices are very much secure, so that while we do all those automated cases, we should not compromise on the security. Because of quantum computer, that entire security is now questionable. Likewise, life science, healthcare, again, your patient record, those should be definitely confidential, no, right, for lifelong. Your genome data, which is your clinical R&D data, clinical trial integrity. Also, as you know that a lot of this life science and healthcare, the hospitals have already started using robotic, and they are also securely protected at this point in time. However, because of quantum computer, that entire security will be questionable, because wherever we are using current cryptography, all those channels will be vulnerable with a varied. I mean, some will be highly vulnerable, some will be least, but they are vulnerable. So those are the industry specific cases and applicable for all industry, because no industry is immune to the quantum computers, right? That's where the simplified quantum safe journey, how industry will flow. So first it's like your crypto asset generation, because so far we were not sure where exactly that inventory. Then risk assessment and prioritization, because not everything we will remediate or address at one go. Then we will start migration. For some time, they will work on the hybrid. They will use current cryptography as well as new. Complete migration and monitor and compliance. So that's the journey. But though the journey looks simplified, this journey will going to take next 8 to 10 years, and that's where it is important for us to understand, because now as you will be entering into your corporate world, this is one of the area from the security standpoint you will get. And while doing this, as I already mentioned, we need to attain the crypto agility, right? Where all the systems what we have created. We need not to go through same pain again and again. So make it in such a way that we can protect from subsequent attack because of quantum computers or any crypto vulnerability. Now, while I closing and then we'll open the Q&A window, the reason we choose this specific topic as I mean, majority of us or you will be getting into the security field, and next decade definitely it's a decade of generative AI and quantum computer. But from the security standpoint, it is also the level field for all the security professional. Already you have seen on various platforms there is a huge shortage. But what is there for security professional? Like if you are from the engineering background, then uh, all those applications what we mentioned, like migration of the current application to quantum safe state, that will be your area of interest. The sector would be same, maybe tech, finance, defense, where it will be applicable. If you are with the research mindset, as this is something which is evolving, both quantum computers and PQC algorithms and all those methodologies, right? So that's yet another field where actively you can participate. And interesting part for this, as this is a niche area, it is not the monopoly of leading player. Definitely leading players are there, but you will find ample startups in this area. They are doing extensive research in this area. That is one of the field. And last is around the consulting. Why consulting? Because for any organization, changing from current state to quantum safe state will going to be the huge decision, not only in terms of the money and effort, but also the business impact. Because now you will be changing all those applications. Some of those applications are legacy there since few decades. So they need proper strategy to be defined, a lot of stakeholder to involve and build certain strategy for them, so that uh, in secure way they can attain that stage. So that's area for consulting as well. And that's where like it's a multi-pronged problem, multi-dimensional solution with multiple skill sets required. Yeah, with this, yeah, maybe I would like to conclude my session. I think, ma'am, I'm on time. 50 minutes you had given to me, and we can open this window for Q&A. Yeah, maybe if there are any question you can have in the chat window, and maybe coordinate help you with questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh Patil, for your insightful and scholarly presentation. The depth of the knowledge and clarity with which you have explained the concept of quantum security have significantly contributed to our academic understanding of this emerging field. Your session has been both enlightening and intellectually enriching for the participants. We are sincerely appreciate your valuable time and expertise. Thank you very much, sir. Now I hand over the second session to Mrs. Sarika Kapdekar.
Thank you, Namrata ma'am. Good afternoon to one and all present here. I, Mrs. Sarika Kapdekar, faculty at the Department of Computer Science, would like to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Samrudha Sudhir Mhatre, an IT compliance associate at Mytheresa, LuxExperience, Germany. Mr. Samruddha has strong expertise in IT compliance and governance with hands-on experience in SOX controls, ITAC testing, audit coordination, and evidence management. He has actively contributed to ensuring regulatory compliance by working closely with cross-functional teams and supporting efficient, well-structured audit processes. With his professional exposure to international compliance standards and real world industry practices, we are confident that today's session will provide valuable insights to our students, industry experts, researchers, and faculty members. Sir, we are truly honored and happy to have you with us today. Over to you, sir.
First of all, thank you all for thank you Rakesh sir for the wonderful session out there, and I'd like to thank Patil College for this opportunity. I'll share my slides. Please let me know if I'm audible and my slides are visible. Can anyone say if they're visible?
Yes, sir, you're audible and screen is visible.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samrudha Mhatre, and I have been working in compliance for the last 3 years. To begin, again, thank you, Patil College and Namrata especially for giving me the opportunity to interact with you all today. I did also like to thank Rakesh sir for a fantastic session on quantum computing. It was a great tone to set up. That session covered a few parts from my slides as well, which is about how cybersecurity is related to computing power and technology and how it is evolving. It helps organization to think on the part of strong encryption, longer data protection, and future-ready strategies. And that's where cybersecurity and compliance comes into the picture. So thank you, sir, for the insights. A little about me. I have done my master in cybersecurity in Germany and bachelor's from Mumbai University itself. So over the years, I have learned that what we learn in the university and what we do in real world is a bit different. It's not just one topic which we pick, or it's not, you don't need to be expert in everything. You can be expert in one topic, and that's where you grow. To start with, today we'll be talking about compliance and cybersecurity, how it goes hand in hand, what are terms. We'll go through the basics and we'll proceed. Cybersecurity isn't just about technology, to be honest. It's also about processes, policies, and tools. Most important, the human decisions which we make. Just a quick question to all. You can respond in chat if you want, or have a thought about my question. How many of you think that you have a safe password in the password you entered to your banking sector or your Facebook account anywhere? How many of you think that it's a safe password? Then how many of you think, okay, you received a mail and then you click on an attachment or a link in that mail and then think, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Just have a thought of it. And then last question, how many of you think that you build a project and then you say, okay, if this project works as per it's expected, I'm done. I don't have to worry about anything. And that's how most of us begin in IT. Like that's how everybody in here starts in the IT domain, making things work, connecting system from back end to the front end, writing codes, and that's great. But in real world, once something works, the question quickly shifts from the working position of the application to how the data is secured. Is the application secured? What happens if someone attacks? Imagine some of you build a called college portal, login works, data is stored, everything works fine. But then auditor or a compliance person from me asks you, how do you keep the password safe? How do you who can access the data? How do you handle the breaches, data breaches? And that's where compliance and cybersecurity steps in. Cybersecurity is all about protecting what you build, while compliance is showing the world that what you build is being protected properly through rules, standards, and best practices. In this session, what we'll be covering is how cyber attacks happen, why systems get compromised, how organizations protect themselves using people, processes, and technology, both from the technical and non-technical point of view. We'll be going through some compliance frameworks like ISO, SOC, and GDPR, and some others. By end of the session, my aim is to make you guys familiarized with the cybersecurity and compliance domains, not just from a buzzword or a theoretical point of view, but also from a real practice point of view, what companies do, how do they implement things. So with that in mind, let's move to the next slide. Yeah. So we live in digital world where everything what we do is from banking, education, healthcare, government services, all goes on technology. That's why cybersecurity exists, to protect all this digital ecosystem. At the core of it, cybersecurity is about protecting systems, network data from digital attack. You think of this as a shield to protect the digital world which we rely on every day or on our day-to-day life. It's not about here, it's not about just technology, it's also about the three important components, which are people, process, and technology. Technology is all about the tools, systems, and what it protects, prevents, and detect and responds to the threat. Whereas people are the people who are the users, the administrator who follows a set of rules and guidelines which helps you handle the technology. And process defines those guidelines and best practices. It defines procedure for managing security controls, handling incident, and reducing the whole risk of the company. You're still able to see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. The screen is okay.
Uh, Going forward, think of this three aspects: the people, processes, and technology, as a three layer where people, processes, and technology collaborate together to protect your digital assets. Now, why does it matter? This matters because if one layer of this is weak, like if someone clicks on a phishing link or unwanted mail, or the process is not followed correctly, or if the technological side, the system is left unpatched, that's where vulnerability emerges, or an attack surface is developed. Once attack surface is developed, anyone can look into it, search for it, and they have some tools to search, which we'll be discussing going forward. But these are the surface areas through which the attack takes place. This framework is the foundation for everything what we will be covering today: threats, vulnerabilities, ethical hacking, compliance, frameworks. And at the end of the session, I'll try to provide you a roadmap for technical as well as non-technical student or people from both the backgrounds, how to progress in their career or how to start and build a career on that part. Understanding this will help you to understand the technical side and the business side. And the next logical question which will come is, what are we actually trying to protect over here? Or what, not rather protect, what are the attacks that would happen? So let's start with threats first. Cyber threats are nothing but attacks that steal data, damage systems, or disrupt services. They don't usually always come from some mysterious person wearing a hoodie or a jacket. They come from external person, like normal people like us, or insider threat where a person in an organization has a wrong intention of affecting the company, or even a simple mistake from a well-intentional or a well-educated person. And that's where the common attacking method comes into the picture, which are phishing, malware, ransomware, denial of service, man in the middle attack, SQL, and finally a password attacks. Since all of us are from IT, I expect people are aware of this. Like phishing is how to trick a person to give his information or sensitive data. Malware and ransomware is where you infect a system and then steal data until the ransom is paid, until the money is paid. Denial of service focuses on availability of data, where you overload a system so that the legitimate user can't access them. Then man in the middle attack is listening to the communication quietly, especially in insecure networks, where the configuration of the system is not properly updated or up to the date. Then the SQL injection, where entering a code into a system or a login platform such that it throws out and thinks that whatever input has been provided is right and gives us the data back, but it's actually provides the whole database such that the username, password, everything is visible to the people. And finally, my personal favorite, password attack, which succeeds mostly because people use weak password and predictable password. And that's why I asked you in the start of the session that just think of that, if you guys have your password as a safe password, or is your password safe enough? And now here's the important part. Attacker usually do not succeed because attackers are brilliant or smart, but because systems have weaknesses. These weaknesses are vulnerabilities, often very simple: weak password, unpatched software, fake email links, misconfiguration of the cloud services, insider threat, and most of human error. Because even the highly professional skilled person, you and me or anyone out there, can make mistake under pressure. So if you have urgency to do something, you try to find shortcuts, and that's where you don't follow the process, and that's the end of it. You may fall into a trap set for you. Moving on to the next slide, as we have discussed about vulnerabilities, lot of weaknesses shows up most clearly in the web application, or everything is on a portal nowadays, or a web application, which is website API calls or application that we use in every day. Before moving forward, can anyone guess what causes real breaches? Hacking tools, or a simple coding, or a configuration mistake? Can anybody have any view on that? Anybody wants to comment? Okay, we'll move forward. That is where it's quite normal that you must be thinking it would be a heavy or a good tool which has been doing this, affecting the real world breaches. But no, it's a simple thing. And that's where the next slide, which is the OWASP top 10, comes into the picture. OWASP top 10 is basically, the full form is Open Wide Application Security Project. It's a community of security professionals that tracks and publishes most critical web application risks based on real world data. Don't think or memorize this list, because this is just a guideline for organization to prepare themselves for the real world challenges. There are 10 which keeps updating as you go forward. Every year they update, every period they update based on the real world effectivity or real world threats out there. To start with, broken access control, I will try to cover a few. There are a few which we will try to cover from this. Broken access control is one of the most common issue. This happens when permissions are not provided properly. Like for example, a student having access to teachers portal, and that's the end of the day for teachers. You may lose a lot of data and student may pass with great grades. But okay, this isn't just a dramatic sense. It's often just missing checks in the application, like people don't review the access given to other users, or the admin doesn't review the access given to other users. This is one of the way where compliance comes into the picture. And from technical side, blocking things at the right time is where broken access control comes. Then there is SQL injection. As I said, we just saw in the previous slide SQL as one of the weakness. This happens because when application trust user input and the input is not validated. So when you enter the login credentials like username and password, it should be like username should have an email address and set of characters, set of numbers, and that's it. Whereas your password should also have a set of characters, numbers, and special symbols. It can't go beyond the coding language. The input system of the login page should understand that the input is correct or not. And that's where attackers send malicious command through the form or through the input login page like username and password section, and make sure the system do what it is not supposed to do. The last is cryptographic failure, which Rakesh sir tried to have a quick overview. It's about protecting data, making sure that sensitive data is like password, personal information, the PIIs are encrypted correctly so that the attacker do not have to easy access to the data. Remember one thing, most major breaches don't happen because of a brand new attack out there or an unknown attack. They happen because known issues were not fixed on time. OWASP value is huge. As I said, organizations use this as a baseline check for secure development of their project, testing of their project, auditing of their project, even from compliance. Naturally, this leads us to the next topic, which is who is responsible for finding them, or who is responsible for finding these attackers. Everything starts with OWASP top 10. That is a helpful, and you don't need to memorize it. But the first person who would be responsible, who helps you in this, is the ethical hacker and the penetration tester. They are the person who actively test the system for uncovered weaknesses before the attacker finds them. This role is a bit of a technical role where you have to be good in the tools side, where you have to be on understanding the reports which come out of the tools. Then the next is SOC reports. SOC analyst. SOC analysts are basically the monitoring employee. For example, they monitor the environment on a day-to-day basis. They identify what is coming in and what is going out of the through the network, like identifying suspicious activity and then responding quickly when things doesn't look good. The next is security architecture, and they are the base of everything. They set up the how the whole framework of the security in a company should be developed or is to be built, from the network which control the encryption or to the access management and all the other things. Which password policy to implement, which password manager to implement, which person has which kind of access and when it should be terminated. All these things come together with the security architect and engineer. There are two more roles which I would like to highlight, which are vulnerability analyst and the incident response specialist. The incident response specialists are the ones, think of them as our firefighters. When the fire is burning, they come and try to stop it. That's what incident response specialists do. They are the one that comes into the picture as soon as there is an incident. When something actually goes wrong, they provide you the guidelines and the ideas to quickly solve the issue, get the system back and running, and making sure that the business runs properly. The vulnerability analyst works in parallel with the ethical hacker. Ethical hacker has to find the vulnerabilities, whereas the vulnerability analyst helps the ethical hacker in making the implementation better to mitigate the issue or mitigate the attack surface. Now, if you're wondering how to get in this role, what are the skills needed to develop this, who to start, what to focus, we'll get back to this at the end of the slide, because that's where I will try to cover a comparison between both the technical side. These are the technical roles, whereas there are other non-technical roles as well. So we'll try to keep this for the next slide. Now, you also might be thinking, how do I prepare? What are the skills? And we'll go forward first with the tools which are responsible, which will add value to your skills, which are, to start with, network and system testing tools. There are many tools out there. Each of this set of tools have many number of tools. Some of them are Nmap, Wireshark. Nmap is basically a tool which helps you identify active devices on your network, open ports and services running. So when you use the Nmap tool, you can also look into your friends, what he's trying to browse. You can understand that. Wireshark is another tool which comes under network and system testing. This tool helps you to analyze traffic, understand the unusual activities and security issues. The next set of tools are the vulnerability assessment tools, and these are Nexus and OpenWebs. Nexus is used widely. I used to use it in my previous workplaces. It provides you an opportunity to identify vulnerability quickly, and remember that it's like these tools are like the checkup for the IT system. They automatically scan for the known gaps in the organization and helps you to identify them, and also in some cases provide you how you can patch them before the attacker finds. Then the next is OpenWebs, which is an open source alternative that works well for continuous scanning. The next set of tools are web application security tools, which are Burp Suite and OWASP Zap. OWASP Zap basically is part of OWASP's top 10 vulnerabilities, which we discussed a couple of slides back. This tool is open source and especially good with beginners because it helps you explore web applications. Burp Suite uses it is used to find vulnerabilities majorly like SQL injection or cross-site scripting. It selects few vulnerabilities and help you identify them in a deeper way. And the last set of tools over here are password and authentication testing tools. This helps you check how the password is strong, authenticate practices if they are good or not. Tools like John the Ripper helps you test the strength of a password, whereas Hydra helps you do a brute force attack. So now what is a brute force attack? It is like a set of millions of passwords and username, millions of passwords, which the tool puts or adds in the login page and try to execute one after the another within a matter of seconds. Remember, all these tools which I have shared today are to be tested in a virtual environment. Do not try it in real life. You may fall in traps. So make sure you have virtual environment where you test these systems. If you need more information, please reach out to me. I can help you with that. But understanding this tool is a bridge between learning how attack works to how you can build your defenses and improve them. So far, we tried to cover the roles, the vulnerabilities, the threats, the web top 10 vulnerabilities, attacking methods. Now we'll move a bit into how this tool in real organization, how everything works together from the technological standpoint, processes standpoint, and people standpoint. All these things works together to do one thing: protect sensitive data and make sure that everything is running smoothly as expected. Organization usually have a holistic approach where, as I said, technology, processes, people all work together to protect this critical data and operations. Let's break it down into a bit more. Technology is always the backbone. People work on the technology, while processes help people to work on the technology. What technology can they be? Like, they can be a firewall, which which acts like a gatekeeper, controls the traffic. They can be antivirus or endpoint detection and response systems, which helps monitor threat, catching both unknown and unknown vulnerabilities. Encryption ensures that every data is encrypted and cannot be read without the right key or right access. Then password policies. The other thing is multi-factor authentication, which add extra layer to the passwords in case people don't have a strong password. The next is processes. As I said, technology isn't enough. People are not enough. You need someone to guide them. Organization need a systematic way to manage security. Incident response plan are in place. Patch management documents are in place. Policies, regular audits, all these are in place. This process ensures that security isn't random. It's repeatable and reliable. From people standpoint, even the best technology can fail if employees aren't trained properly. People are often the weakest link. So providing them awareness training, clear role description, giving them regular education on various threats related to their department, not random things, but something related to their department, help prevent accidental mistakes like clicking on a phishing link or misconfiguration of a system. All these three pillars come together, and organization does not just defend the attack, but also reduces the risk, maintain business continuity, build trust between customer, partners, and regulators. Think of this as a castle. Technology is the gate and the walls. Processes are the rules to be followed, and people are the soldiers. If any of this link breaks, the whole system collapses. And that's what brings us to our one of the important topic today, which is the compliance. Compliance is a set of rules and rules that ensures that the practice aren't just ideas, but also documentable, repeatable, and auditable. Compliance ensures that whatever law, regulation, and standards are required are followed by the organization. It's a bridge between the technical side and the organizational governance, turning your tools into rules and processes and accountability. For your understanding, compliance shows how your technical cybersecurity skills fit in real life when it comes to processes, auditability, and decision making. This domain is also called as information security, where I work. I will share how cybersecurity and compliance intersect in the upcoming slide. This will help you understand how concept plays out in practice on the ground. Going forward, we will be covering the regulations or the standards like ISO 27001, SOC, GDPR, PCI DSS, and some other standards belonging to various industries, organizations, and legal requirements as well. We'll also be covering certain roles which or career opportunities which you have. And finally, as I said, I'll give you an overview of the steps to do to reach the end of the roles or to achieve the target. Remember, compliance isn't just a piece of paper or a piece of paper with a set of rules. It is about doing the right things according to the rules and regulations. For example, think of compliance for healthcare. There is a framework or a standard called as HIPAA, which is a US-based standard, which we will be covering as we go forward. It handles patient data. And why it is important? Because to keep patient data secured and safe, to avoid any kind of blackmail to the person or to anyone out there. Then there is a bank which needs to have financial record safe and protected. For that, we have SOC compliance or ISO, or there is two SOC, actually SOX, which is Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which we will be covering, and there is also called as SOC, which is System Organization Control Type 1 or SOC 1, which also helps in handling financial records. Without compliance, even the most technical secure system could fail. One human mistake or one human oversight can lead to breaches, a fine, or most important, loss of reputation for a company. Understanding compliance will make sure that you translate, as I said, your real-time information or knowledge to the real-time operations. Now that you all must be thinking that how do we put compliance into play? Is there any practical way to put compliance into action? How do organizations do it? So the answer is yes, you can put the compliance into action, and that's where ISO 27001 comes into the picture. It is a structured, practical way to implement a framework. It gives you a practical answer to put compliance into action. ISO provides structural approach to all the things to do. It is called as an information security management system, which is the core of the ISO standard, a framework that ensures cybersecurity is not just proactive but also repeatable and integrate with the business needs. You can't have a compliance where your business is getting affected and you're having losses because compliance needs to do certain things. All the compliance should benefit the businesses, not the opposite way. But in a framework, you can't go out of a framework thinking, okay, I can give all my access to my CEO. Not required. It should be according to his job requirements. Think of it as a house. Compliance tells you which building code to follow, while ISO tells you the blueprint and the construction plan to make it steady and secure. It follows the triad, which I guess most of you know, which is the CIA triad, which is confidentiality, integrity, availability. Remember, this three triad will be in all the frameworks. It's the base of all the framework. For many, I expect ISO to be a bit new, especially ISO 27001. But in practice, it links your technical skills to organization policies and compliance. So to make things easier, what ISO 27000 has done is it has clauses and annexes, like chapters in a book, or consider it as a two-book, phase 1 and phase 2 of ISO, which helps our organization step-by-step guidance in building a strong and structured information security management system, which is the, as I said, core of the central part of the ISO 27001. To begin with, there are 10 clauses. Each clause has its own task, or each clause has its own merit, and all the companies have to implement all these tasks, all these clauses, to make sure that the second part, which is the annex, is stronger. Consider this as a skeleton or a roadmap. They guide the organization from setting up the system to monitoring it and continuously improving it. The first three clauses are the scope, terminologies, and references. So you need to define the scope of the the whole project, the ISO implementation of ISMS. Because if you need to define what is the scope? Scope is nothing but I can give an example of a society with a watchman. The watchman has to know what area he has to cover, what area he has to look into. And that's what the scope does. It tells you the limits of the audit, the limit of where the things to be implemented, where the control to be implemented, and then come the terminology and the references. Terminology are nothing but calling Apple and Apple, or calling some key department like HR people department. The terminology needs to be set. And then our references, which are the references used within the company. Like for example, there are ERP solutions in various companies, but certain people call them as BC, business control, or some people call them as MS control because the tool is hosted on MS. So it depends on the references what they use. Essentially, this ensures everybody knows what is covered and how things are to be interpreted when required. The next two clauses are 4 and 5, which is organization and leadership. The leadership plays an important role. Without the leadership commitment, security initiative fails. Organization needs to have the context quite clear, like what asset, the risk, the stakeholder, what are to be part of the whole ISMS implementation. Clause 6 to clause 8, or clause 6, 7, 8 is about planning, providing resources, and putting things into ISMS in real-time operation. It starts with security policies, procedure, technical controls, people working on them, and applied to all these things are applied to protect the information. Clause 9 is about monitoring and evaluating the performance of the policies when implemented. Organization must make sure that all these things are effective, and they must monitor it continuously, which is the last point, clause 10. This is about continuous improvement. As security threats evolve constantly, so much ISMS or the information security management system must adapt and improve over the time. This think of this clause as all these clauses as skeleton for ISMS. They define how organization should organize itself and manage the security. But natural question, this looks all theoretical. You must be thinking what to do, what actually the organization do to secure information, and the answer lies in the next slide, which is RNXA, which has 93 controls. Controls are nothing but specific action tasks which a single individual or a group of people needs to do in an organization. It's basically consider them as what to do, like for example, doing access review or implementing password policy across the company. So when someone tells access review for a control is developed where it says access review for a particular tool on a monthly, quarterly, bi-yearly or annually, depends on the frequency of the control. The person or the group of people have to perform the set of tasks written in the control, and they have to do it and provide the evidences based on what is required as part of the control. Things like this help prevent mistakes, misuse, and attacks. These controls are divided into 4 themes, which is majorly organization with 37 controls, which means 37 tasks. People has 8, physical has 14, technological has 34. Let's begin with the first one, which is organizational. So I'll give you an example. You have a policy which is called as an information security policy. That defines how data should be handled across the company, or how other policies like cryptography, asset management, access to various tools should be handled in the company. What we achieve with this? We achieve simple. We achieve that everyone knows the rules, responsibilities, and the management has a clear overview of how the information, how the policies are implemented. The next is people control. This focuses on employee training and awareness, because human error is often the biggest risk, as I covered in the start. What is achieved through this control? It reduces human error, prevents insider threat, and ensures that staff or the employees act responsibly when handling sensitive information, or even in case of some damage, or even in case of a data breach, they know what to do. The next is physical control, which is, as it says, it's about preventing unauthorized access, protecting equipments, ensuring that the data isn't compromised by someone physically entering the office place. Then the last is technological control, which is the important, and it works in parallel with all the other three, where firewalls, antivirus, encryption systems are, and then we have intrusion detection systems are implemented. These are the tools which actually prevent cyber threats, cyber attacks, protects networks, security, system integrity, and ensures that the digital information is secure. All these 4 themes translate one thing, which is high-level security principles into real-world actions. In simple terms, clauses are nothing but plan and structured way of implementing the ISMS, whereas annexes are actually the actionable security controls implemented in practice. Now, if you have any questions on this, please be free to ask. You can ask right now. I'll wait for a few seconds. In terms of ISO, or even in the previous slides, please. Okay. I will move forward. You are free to also ask at the end of the session. It's fine, all good. Okay. Now we learned about compliance, which is from the organization's perspective. Now we have another compliance, which is from a legal and the financial standpoint, which is called. Do you want to know more about ISO 27001? ISO is International Standard of Organization. As I said, it's about ISMS, Information Security Management System. It covers all these clauses and annexes, and that's how you implement ISMS to protect your system. Like, I'll give you an example of, for example, let's think of okay, let's think of ISMS as something which protects your company from attacks, or like implementing controls like password policy. For example, password policy, you need to be clear, like, okay, we have 10 companies, all the application in the company should have 10 characters, out of which maybe 5 minimum should be words or letters, 2 3 should be numbers, and one last 2 should be symbols. You need to make sure that these are implemented across the company, for which you first develop policy, implement it, then have controls, then people do it on regular basis, and then you evaluate on a quarterly basis whether if the new policy has been implemented or not. That's how is one of the example. If you want to dig deep, you can reach out to me. Let's try to have this covering all the other parts of the session. Okay. Moving forward, as I said, we'll be having another compliance, a different type of compliance, which is legal and financial, which is SOC, which is Sarbanes-Oxley Act. This is a US-based act which was enchanted in like 2002. It was implemented because a major corporate scandal happened where companies manipulated their financial statements. And remember, this the purpose of this is very straightforward. But powerful. This makes sure that financial data are accurate, trustworthy, and cannot be altered secretly. This applies to all the publicly listed companies and their auditors, and it emphasizes on financial reporting, internal controls, and accountability. Leader of that organization must be responsible for financial data and must make sure that the financial data is not accurate. Now, why is this relevant if it is a financial or a financial requirement? Unlike ISO, which focuses on information security management system, SOC focuses on financial integrity. But here's the connection. Before that, anybody can guess why IT plays an important role here? Can anybody think why IT plays an important role when it comes to financial audits? I'll wait for 10 seconds. Okay, no problem. So if anybody must be thinking, the reason is financial data lives in the IT system. Normally, when financial data moves, it obviously stays in IT system like ERP, payroll, or accounting systems. If your system is insecure or unpatched or poorly handled, someone can manipulate it or cause error. And that's under SOC is not just a technical problem, it's also a legal problem. Cybersecurity isn't always about preventing hackers. It's also about ensuring organizations remain compliant and accountable. This leads us to what is the role of IT in SOC compliance, and we'll explore that in the next slide, which is this. Okay, so the focus over here is not to stop the hacker, but the focus over here is to control the data flowing, make the data visible, and have accountability of the data. So there are 4 major things to look into, the 4 major IT controls, which are access management, change management, data integrity and backup, and login and monitoring. Access management, as you know, only authorized users should have access to the data or modify the data. Change management is when a system needs to be updated, it should have a proper review, tested, and documented before the update is done, so that it doesn't alter the data or the financial data when the new update comes. Data integrities and backups is nothing but data must be accurate, consistent, and backup so that it do not loses its value or doesn't get tampered with. Finally, monitoring and logging. It ensures that every action which is done for all the above steps, which is access management, change management, and data integrity and backup, are recorded so that the auditor can trace back who, when, and how it happened. Think of this as a small step. Think of this as an example. We can take accounting system. A small misstep, like a misconfiguration or missing backup, can lead to financial statement out of the system, and or even open the doors to fraud. SOC makes it quite clear that IT is not just a support fraction over here, it's also the key to the financial compliance. This pattern can be observed, the pattern like technical controls, processes, and compliance, as you saw you must have heard in ISO standards or even in SOC now, this will appear in all the other standard or all the other framework as we go forward. Understanding this intersection prepares you to understand that cybersecurity professional who also understand business requirements and legal requirements is important. The next is now we have covered organizational level control. Then we covered organizational level framework or standard. Then we covered a legal and the financial framework and standard. Now we have something called as GDPR. This focuses on personal data like your email address, your name, phone ID, your phone number, your location, and all the things. GDPR is mostly used in Germany and European Union. It was developed for European Union, and you must be thinking, how does it affect us sitting in India? So, if your company anywhere in the world processes European Union citizen or residents, GDPR automatically applies, and that forces this global reach forces the organization to rethink how they handle personal data. Now, under GDPR, it is important that the companies do three things, which is have a clear consent of before collecting data from the people. Like they should ask for your permission before they collect data. They should inform you in case of breaches. They should have proper data controls implemented so that the data is safe. Failing to do can lead to huge fines, reputational damage, and loss of trust between clients and the other companies as well. So this isn't just a legal bureaucracy, it's also real world accountability and responsibility for every piece of data the organization handles. The key takeaway here is GDPR directly connects cybersecurity to privacy and individual rights. Your technical knowledge from encryption, access control, monitoring directly supports you in compliance with these laws. And now we'll be moving to industry-specific compliance. Like first, we'll start with HIPAA. HIPAA is, as I stated at the beginning of my slides, it's a healthcare organization. It's used in an organization which deals with healthcare facilities like hospital, clinics, insurance companies, and anyone that handles patient data. The goal of HIPAA is simple but critical: to keep patient data confidential, accurate, and available. By now, you must have heard I'm saying this word again and again: confidential, availability, and accuracy. These are the building blocks for any compliance. Plus, privacy is also one of them, and there are a few more, but that depends on the framework. Security failures here in case of HIPAA aren't just about data loss, they also impact patient safety, trust, and regulatory requirements. The next is PCI DSS. This is the framework which deals with credit card information. Even small businesses that accept credit card payments have to follow the standards. PCI DSS, that is Payment Card Industry Data Storage Standard, that's the full form, focuses on secure storage of data, transmission, access control, and monitoring to prevent breaches and that which could compromise customer financial information. And this framework has a pattern. All this framework has a pattern. Compliance isn't just one size fit for all. It depends on the type of data you handle. From personal data, you have GDPR. For healthcare, you have HIPAA. For payment industry, you have PCI DSS. For organization, you have ISO. For financial, you have SOC. All these carry unique risk and require unique control in place. The next up is, before that, understanding the differences helps you to see why security measures varies across industries to industries and how you can shape your career going forward. But remember, all these things have a basic same base, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The next one is SOC report, which is SOC, which stands for Standard Service Organization Control, which was developed by AICPA, which is American Institute for American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and it provides a standard way to verify both financial and IT processes. The benefit of SOC is simple. There are actually two types of SOC. One is SOC 1 and SOC 2. SOC 1 deals with financial reporting, SOC 2 deals with IT. So consider SOC 1 as equivalent to SARS-1 Act, which we covered previously, whereas SOC 2 as ISO 27001. SOC 1 focuses on financial reporting, mainly for organization handling client financial transaction, ensuring that the data is accurate and reliable. SOC 2 works on 5 principles, again, security, availability, integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. It focuses on IT controls and and service control, especially for cloud providers, SaaS to SaaS industries. The organization is basically needs SOC 2 when you deal with B2B businesses that manages IT services, because the customer of this company rely on them to handle their sensitive data, but cannot see inside the system themselves. SOC provides an independent verification that the security of the data, privacy of the data, operational practices are being followed in a right way. Now in SOC, in both the SOC, there are two types, type 1 and type 2. So type 1 is a snapshot, which means that it shows that controls are designed correctly and exist at a particular time. Like it can be it can be a photo or a photo of a system. That's type 1. It's like a snapshot. Type 2 looks at a broader period, like 6 to 12 months. It shows that the organization actually worked consistently, giving clients and auditor a confidence in the organization reliability. In short, SOC is a practical example of how cybersecurity and compliance intersect in real world. They also have financial and IT processes covered, whereas focuses on both security and reliability of the data. Which is why SOC knowledge is valuable for everyone who work in compliance, aiming to career as IT auditors or cloud security or governance. SOC, as I said, compliance is not just paperwork; it's more than that. Now, why does it matter? Because it gives real perspective from cybersecurity side, auditing side, and compliance side. Going forward, you will be also covering the career opportunities in compliance. But before that, another framework, which is okay, this is not a framework actually. This is a guideline. It's called the NIST framework. As SOC is more for customers and auditors, NIST is a guidance-driven framework. NIST, we already covered it in Rakesh Patil sir's. Sir gave an overview where he spoke about NIST, but and it is important because NIST is the best part of NIST is its flexibility. It can sync with anything. It can sync with ISO, SOC, PCI DSS, or even Sarbanes-Oxley Act. It can sync with anything. It's not a certification to be achieved. It just helps the other certification be better. This framework helps organizations think clearly and systematically about the cybersecurity framework. At its core, NIST answers three critical questions, which is what do we need to protect? How do we need to protect it in today's world, and what do we do in case something goes wrong? And for that, we have the 5 basic but powerful functions, which is identifying the asset, system, data, and the risk. Protection, which is protecting this or safeguarding putting a safeguard in the place to reduce the impact. Then detection, knowing when something goes wrong or what looks wrong or what is abnormal or what is suspicious. Then containing the incidents as part of response, and finally recovering the system and learning what we understood. As I said, organizations often use NIST alongside ISO 27001, PCI DSS, or any other framework. It doesn't replace anything. It just connects them well in a proper security language. Once you start thinking this way because of this framework, you will start thinking about the ownership, accountability, and how responsibilities are shared. But then the question comes, who is actually responsible for this in the organization? Like, what are the places where these things work? And that's what comes down to the next topic, which is the 3 lines of defense. I expect people to know a bit about it, but we'll try to quickly go through it. This model is quite widely used in GRC, that is governance, risk, compliance domain, and you will see reference often in lot of industry. There are three lines, which is first line, which is operational, second line, which is risk management, compliance, and security, third line is auditing. I belong to the second line, where I am part of the compliance team. The first line is about the people who work on day-to-day basis, the IT team, the security system admin, HR, finance. They implement the control directly. They are the one who apply patches. They are the one who apply manages access. They are the one who handle data, follow security procedures as part of their daily jobs. The second line of defense do not run the system themselves. They define policies, provide guidelines, develop the controls, and then check whether the first line operates in a proper way through collecting a periodic evidences, like depending on the frequency of the control, but it can be monthly, it can be quarterly, it can be bi-yearly, or it can be also once a year, depending on the requirement of the control and the business need. The third line of defense is internal audit. This team is independent from the daily operation and the compliance. That is completely out of the first line and third line. first line and the second line of defense. Their role is objective to review everything, the process control and risk, and report their finding to the management and to the compliance to the second line of defense, so that they work with the first line of defense and solve the issue and get get the control at the right level as required. Think of them as organization quality assurance. It's like a quality check part of the compliance or cybersecurity. They look into the risk and security and then provides the overview so that the top level, the first level, has all the things covered. What is important to understand is all the three lines work together. Security isn't just technical, or governance isn't just paperwork. They support each other. As we move forward, this model will help you understand where different cybersecurity and compliance, audit, and risk role sets, how technical skills can grow into governance and leadership position over the time. Understand one thing. First line of defense is mostly about technical skills. Second line of defense is about compliance. And third line is about mix and match of both. They need to know all the sides. Going forward, the next slide is about career opportunities or career roles you can look into when you come into the compliance domain. We covered the technical part in the slides before. Now we'll go into non-technical career options. To start with, compliance officer, which is equivalent to my role, which is IT. I work as an IT compliance associate, and I usually sit into second line. Their job makes policies, laws, implement the control, develop the control with the help of the stakeholders, where we have regular meetings, understanding what they do. Our job is quite simple. We need to make sure that we achieve the compliance, but do not affect our control owners or our control members having harassment. They shouldn't be annoyed with us. Our job means compliance officer job is to make their life easy. They are the ones asking, are we doing things right in the right way? The next is risk manager. Often work between the first line and the second line, bit of both, evaluating threats, potential failures, and also providing mitigation strategy. They translate the operational challenge into actionable risk insights. Then we have the IT auditors. As I said, they are third line of defense, look into the system, test the system, and gather data and help the two lines above to solve the issue. The next two are governance and privacy data. Governance work with the compliance officer, whereas privacy data officer focuses on personal data and sensitive data with compliance like GDPR or legal requirement like GDPR, HIPAA, and in case of us, we have the Indian Data Protection Act. Those are the areas where privacy and data protection officer work. What is important is this role combines the technical understanding and the business awareness from the total perspective. Going forward, cybersecurity and compliance works together. Can we protect the system? Yes, we can protect the system. Cybersecurity is doing it on a regular basis. You can build controls, monitor system, respond you can respond when something breaks or gets attacked. Compliance is explaining how things should be done, how auditors look into it. That system security isn't random, it is dependable and not on one person, but as a global team effort. Now we'll move into what we cover as the comparison between the global standards and the Indian standards. We covered GDPR, we covered HIPAA, we covered PCI DSS, SOC, ISO, NIST. In India, remember that we are a developing country. We don't have equivalent for all these standards like SOC or HIPAA. But the core principle remains the same: access control, accountability, auditability, confidentiality, integrity, availability. The basic core principle remains the same. Remember, since we don't have equivalent for all these things, Indian companies usually look into ISO 27001, which is widely used. It acts a bridge between international laws as well as Indian requirements. Whether you work in India or multinational or global, this knowledge helps you stay relevant and to the regulation requirements, to the evolving regulation requirements, and set you perfectly for the next things. Then up next is quite simple. Don't take it as a decision. It's just a map for you guys. If you want to select one of these two directions, which is technical and non-technical, you can take a photo of it. It will help you understand which to do, what things to do, and how to do. One direction is technical, where you learn about if you have a curiosity in understanding network servers, application, and you're curious to know how things could fail, then this is your path. Here you need to start with basic of networking, operation system, and scripting, not because companies demand it, but because it gives you an overview or a perspective of how security makes sense. You can start with tools which we discussed above, like Nmap, Wireshark, Burpsuit, Metasploit, and all those things. And the roles where penetration testing, SOC analyst, ethical hacker are the roles which you will be going into. From the non-technical side, which is governance and compliance, you must think, do I like to write policies? Do I like to speak with people to get output from them? Do I like to develop something like controls and all? This is the perfect part for you. The roles are compliance analyst, as we discussed, risk analyst, privacy officer, auditors. These are the roles, and these people don't necessarily stop the attack, but they make sure that just 2 minutes. Yeah, they make sure that all the things required for security are implemented in the right way and in the right structure. You don't have to choose a path right now. People move between them all the time. Many people start technically, then shift into GRC. Many people work in compliance and then move into gain technical knowledge and then move into the technical side. Often best professional has both the sides, whether it is technical and non-technical. What matters mostly right now is not picking a title. It's understanding what kind of problem you want to solve and you want to enjoy. Before I conclude, think of this as, do you want to explain a issue to a hacker, or do you want to explain an issue to a CEO? And if you answer this question, that's where your starting point lies. CEO is normally deals with the compliance part. Hackers deal with the technical team. That's how you should think. Okay. Thank you for all the time, but I'll wrap up now. Remember, cybersecurity works together. Strong security without compliance isn't enough. Compliance without real security doesn't actually protect anything. What I hope today you take away is cybersecurity isn't just a tool or a theory. It's about real responsibility, real decisions, and real impact. There are solid career opportunities going forward from both the technical perspective and the non-technical perspective, from the governance and compliance side. With that, I'll stop here. And if you have any question, you're free to ask now. And if you want to continue the conversation later, I would be very open to talk to you on LinkedIn or any other platform. Please connect with me. Thank you. Okay, so I think we have some questions. In terms of ISO 27001, what most common gap do you see in documenting controls and actual security practices? So what usually happens is, since the technical team is not always aware about the compliance requirement, while the compliance team is not aware about all the technical sides, that's where the gap begins, because not the technical people don't share everything with the compliance team, and the compliance team doesn't know everything. So to reaching a point of complete achievement is difficult in real world, but that's where improving on daily basis comes into the picture. That's where clause 10 of ISO standard comes in, where you improve on daily basis. Any other questions? I hope I have answered what you were looking for. In case I have not, please, we can discuss it separately. It's okay.
Any participant have any question? Kindly drop a message in the chat box if you are having any question. Thank you so much, sir, for the information and knowledge you have shared with us. The session provided valuable insights into key areas such as fundamental of cybersecurity, current threat trends, career pathways in cybersecurity, essential skills and certifications, and the importance of risk management and ethical practices in today's digital world. Your real world examples and practical guidance made these concepts easy to understand and highly relevant for our participants. We truly appreciate your efforts and dedication. Thank you once again for an enriching session. First, I would like to thank our eminent speakers, Mr. Rakesh Patil and Mr. Samrudha Mhatre, for conducting informative sessions and also for illuminating our participants with your knowledge, ideas, and experience. Your valuable insights and expertise truly helped our participants to understand the theme navigating the cybersecurity landscape. Now, I would like to thank everyone involved in making this event a huge success. A successful event has many hands working effortlessly for months. A very big thanks to Erasmus plus CS for all members, our Chikitsak Samuha President Shri Kishore Ranganekar Sir, Secretary Dr. Gurunath Pandit Sir, Chief Education Officer Dr. Mala Kharkar Ma'am, in charge principal Dr. Gautam Sonkamble Sir, Chief Coordinator of Technology and Coordinator of Information Technology Mrs. Namrata Kavle Shinde Ma'am, and all management members for supporting us and giving us the opportunity to conduct the event. I would like to thank our BSCCS coordinator, Mrs. Karishma Jain, and BSCIT co-coordinators, Mr. Chayan Bhattacharjee and Ms. Pooja Amin. I thank all the faculty members at the Department of Information Technology and Computer Science involved in making this event a huge success. Last but not least, thank you to all the participants for enthusiastically participating in the program. We look forward to continued association for years to come. Before concluding the event, I would like to give a few instructions to all the participants. The feedback link will be posted in the chat box. So please do give your valuable feedback. E-certificates will be sent to your respective mail IDs within 4 to 5 working days. With this, I conclude the Erasmus plus CS for All International Webinar Research in IT, Navigating the Cybersecurity Landscape. Thank you once again. Have a good day, stay connected, and keep learning.